what's one of the first things that you're advising your clients right now that you talk to in dealing with the pandemic? What's one of the first things that comes to mind, or do you let them lead with a question, or what's kind of coming up?
So typically for me, this is all kind of simple stress, anxiety stuff.
Okay.
And so I'm always looking to see what people's tolerance levels are. Plus, you and I were talking a little earlier, there's this piece about how do you balance reactivity versus response when all we're doing is reacting, right?
Okay.
So
okay. Good.
What makes sense? So with a lot of my clients, what I try and do is, be really mindful of how you're feeding the beast. If you're putting a ton of information into your head and you have a stress or an anxious piece, that hamster wheel, what you're doing is you're keeping it going. So too much of anything is not good for you. You can have too much water, you can have too much food, you can have too much exercise.
Right.
You can have too much information, and the dilemma you're in is if you're stressed or spinning, what you're doing with that information isn't healthy or adaptive or responsive or accurate. The amount of information you're carrying in, the sources of the information you're getting in.
Right.
If you've got news media channels on all day,
Yeah.
to me, from a therapist, I would say you're off. That's not good. And don't do that.
There's the professional advice. Like don't be locked onto all of that.
So
right.
pick your sources carefully.
Think about it from your kids' lens. If you have kids at home and you're a parent, how are they going to remember this pandemic? Were their parents locked up, freaking out, and wouldn't get off their phone because they're dying to see the next thing? Were they waiting for the next shoe to drop? What was the approach? Because they are nothing but watching and learning, and they will have a memory of this.
Hey, we just keep moving forward. That's resiliency. That's tolerance. That's adjustability. That's flexibility. But you got to keep this thing kind of down regulated, manage the physiology, keep the heart rate down, all that kind of stuff. You have to manage those pieces because this is big stuff. Then we got to do big things to counteract that each day, and that's okay. Yeah, doing that each day is different than waiting a week and then right.
Letting it all kind of come to a point where it just incapacitates. And Karina, actually, she was asking me, hey, you dealt with stressful stuff, give the tools. What do you do? And it's come up several times organically in this conversation, but one of the first things is the breath.
Yeah.
You get in a stress response, don't let it get to a panting, right? Because then you get panic attacks and all that stuff. So that's one of the first things when we pull up to a fire and you have all this data in front of you, take a breath and which ones are useful to you.